Mizuno JPX 925 Hot Metal and Hot Metal Pros are now launched. And before we get into this review, I just want to say this is a completely unsponsored, unpaid review of these golf clubs. We've had it in the comments recently where people say we're paid to say stuff. We ain't paid to say nothing. Yes, Mizuno have sent these irons out to me, and which is what's great as well is they've sent them out in Dynamic Gold X100 extra stiff shafts. So the data that I got yesterday out on the golf course and on the driving range is as accurate as it can possibly be. So thank you to Mizuno for doing that. First thing to touch on these, like I said, I've got two different models here. I've got the 925 Hot Metals and the 925 Hot Metal Pros. There is a third option as well, which is the 925 Hot Metal High Launch. Kind of says on the tin what those irons do. But I've just went for the Hot Metals and the Hot Metal Pros for this review. Now the big difference straight off the bat is the shape and the size behind the golf ball. So the Hot Metal, Mizuno are saying, are built around maximum speed, maximum consistency, and all-round forgiveness, whereas the Hot Metal Pros are maximum speed in a slimmer profile with a more compact head and a thinner top line. Straight away, if you're looking to move into these irons and you're not a fan of a really, really big head, then definitely the Hot Metal Pros is going to suit your eye a little bit more. There's slight design differences in both of them as well. On the Hot Pro Standard, you have the Mizuno in blue and white on the back, and in the Hot Metal Pros, you have the Mizuno in a nice black, which I prefer. I prefer the design of the Hot Metal Pros from all aspects really, over the Hot Metal Standard. And then, like I said, I took these irons out onto the golf course and I gathered some really good data, which we'll get into on the driving range with Trackman, but they kind of do what they say on the tin. So yeah, as expected, doesn't take Einstein to work it out, these golf clubs go an extremely long way. You can't really correlate the number that it says on the top of the golf club to the distance that you'll see out on the golf course, because they are extremely long lofted. They're an extremely big profile, so the ball speed you get off of these is quick. So if you're looking for an iron set that you can just bomb everything as far as you possibly can, then great. If you're looking for an iron set where you're maybe trying to dial in your numbers a little bit more, then these probably aren't going to be the best fit for you. There was quite a big distance discrepancy from when I ripped a 7-iron to when I maybe just slightly didn't find the middle of the club face. I mean, 7-iron was going over 200 yards, 5-iron going out there at like 230, 240, which is just obscene amount of distance. You'll get so much forgiveness out of these, you'll get so much help, but it will also cost you some strokes on the golf course as well. 200 yards out, and say that's your 7-iron number, and you just button one straight out of the middle of these and it flies 215 over the back of the green, then you're in trouble. But that is the trade-off that you pay when you go for maximum forgiveness, maximum distance. You do lose a little bit of that consistency. But gap wedge, which is 52 degrees, I think in this it actually works closer to about 48 degrees. That was averaging around about 135 to 140 yards. 9-iron was around 170 yards, 7-iron around 200 yards, 5-iron around 220, 230 yards. So some of the 5-irons actually went like 240. So yeah, they're on the long side. The spin was probably like a 1500, 2000 lower than what I would see in my Mizuno irons or my T100s. They were extremely easy to hit, and I mean super easy to hit. The JPX Hot Metal Pros, definitely behind the golf ball, is a much nicer profile in my eyes. It's a slightly thinner top line, it's a slightly smaller head, but it fits nicely into that forgiveness iron with not an overwhelming footprint. I feel like the 925 Hot Metal Standard, they look like mini hybrids. And what I've done is I've brought in the Mizuno Pro 225s, okay? So these are the hollow body construction, most forgiving of the Mizuno Pro range. And if you can see from the sole of that golf club and the top line of that golf club, it looks like a blade. It honestly looks like a Tiger Woods blade in comparison to the 925 Hot Metal and the Pro for that matter. So there you can see on my left, your right, is the Mizuno Pro 225, and the other is the JPX 925 Hot Metal from a sole perspective, you can just really see the glaring difference in size there. So if you imagine hitting like a 7 iron, a 9 iron, or if you're trying to hit a wedge shot with what feels like a hybrid in your hand, I really struggled getting my head around that. And I definitely on course got on with the Hot Metal Pros a lot more than what I did the standard Hot Metals. The other thing to touch on as well, which I found when I was out on the golf course, is with this sole design, with how thick it is and how wide it is, and how rounded the leading edge is, I really struggle to get the club into the turf. But again, this is why getting fit is so important, knowing how you deliver the golf club. For people who hit it steep, who hit down on the ball a lot, these are gonna feel, really weird to hit. Because once they bounce out of the turf, you do get like this weird tingy vibration where it's like, rather than digging into the turf, it's bounced up off the turf. So I was getting a bit of a vibration from it. That was the big downside of these, which I didn't like. Now, it's not all doom and gloom with these. There's a lot that I really liked about these. One thing being the gap wedge. Around the greens, it performed fantastically. Doing little chip shots, little bump and runs, little soft feel shots. Sometimes when you get these more big cavity back irons, you lose all type of feel with that club. But definitely with these, with the Hot Metal Pros and the Hot Metal Standards, I felt like I could play little intricate shots, lower, a little bit higher, bump and runs, try and spin it a little bit, which was really surprising to me, and it performed really well in that category. The second category, again, the obvious category, forgiveness. These are so forgiving. I hit some so far out of the toe. Heel strike, maybe not so much my pattern, but definitely hit a few out of the heel, and they almost stayed bang straight, dead on line. Now, you do get a little bit of a drop off in distance, which you're going to get with any iron, nowhere near as much as you'll get with, say, the Mizuno Pro range. So on the topic of forgiveness and technology, Mizuno are actually saying in their iron range, the 924, the JPX range, they've already reached maximum forgiveness. So if you was to buy the JPXs from the previous year, or you bought these, they are the exact same amount of forgiveness. And I think it's just important for you guys to know that. Yes, these have slightly different characteristics, they have slightly different shaping and a little bit different technology in these in comparison to what the old JPXs had, but you're not going to get any more forgiveness from these irons because Mizuno are saying they've reached the maximum COR, which the USGA and the RAA allow you to have in irons. And basically what COR is forgiveness. It's the core equals energy. So the amount of good performance you're going to get out of strikes across the face. The JPX range has already reached the maximum of that. Also, with regards to feel, I would disagree with Mizuno. I wouldn't say it's a tour feel. I don't believe these are forged. Don't fact check me on that, but I don't believe these are forged. You aren't getting a soft, buttery, makes you feel warm inside feeling when you hit these right out of the middle. Now, they do feel soft, but they aren't as soft as if you go out and get a forged iron as you would expect. You don't need me to tell you that. Moving on to price, these are in line pretty much with everyone else on the market now. Golf prices have gone through the roof with drivers, wedges, putters, and these are in line with what all of the other major manufacturers are, and that's £150 per club. So for a set of 6, which would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitching wedge, you're going to be paying £900. For a set of 7, which includes the 4 iron, you're going to be paying £1,050 for these golf clubs. Is it expensive? Yes, but it is in line with everything else on the market. You've got like a 2-tone finish on it, so the bottom of the golf club is in more of a matte chrome, and then across the back it turns into a bit more of a shiny chrome, and the top line is in a matte chrome. And again, they're really not offensive looking golf clubs. They're not the most beautiful golf clubs on the market, but as far as, I keep saying this, as far as sort of player forgiveness irons go, I think it's important to sort of put them in that beauty pageant contest with other irons that fall into that category, because you do get some real eyesores, and these are definitely not eyesores. So yeah, there you go. 925 Hot Metal JPX from Mizuno. Closing thoughts on these, they definitely do what they say on the tin. The Hot Metal Pros are definitely packaged much nicer in my opinion. And if there's not that much of a forgiveness trade-off, which I don't think there was, I would strongly suggest going with the Hot Metal Pros over the Hot Metal Standards. I just feel like you're going to be able to hit more golf shots with them. I feel like you're going to be able to get a bit more creative with them. There's just no need for the other ones to be that big. But if you've enjoyed this review, subscribe. Let us know down in the comments if you're going to be going to test these irons yourself. Let us know down in the comments what you're currently gaming as well. I'll be interested to see who's got new irons in the bag, who's still using their old faithful from years ago. But yeah, enjoyed them. Good looking, good performing. They do have their design flaws in my opinion, but again, this is just my opinion. What do I know? Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you all in the next one. I need to blow my nose so badly.